Hey, welcome back to Rustwater Garage. 61 Rambler Rock Box station wagon, which is almost not a rock box anymore. We're getting there. So as you can see, gas tank. Next thing we have to figure out. So obviously we're doing a fuel injection swap on this car. I recommend if you're doing an LS swap or an LT swap or any swap of fuel injection that you do everything you can to get an in-tank fuel pump, not an external pump. I've not had any experience with anybody having success with external pumps long term. The way I look at it is the OEM used the internal pump in the tank and they last hundreds of thousands of miles. And that's how I've been doing it for years, and I have not had a failure. They work great. So I would try to find an OEM style tank that would work with fuel injection for whatever you're building before I would do something else. Like Holley makes a retrofit thing that will go inside a lot of stock tanks, but it's like $500. That's crazy in my mind, because all it really is a sending unit with a pump stuck on it and a piece of their hydromat that's supposed to work to absorb fuel from all areas instead of letting you suck air, which you would never want to do with a fuel injection system. But that said, I go with budget OEM style tanks. So in this case, here's what we got. So my favorite tanks to use in a passenger's car situation or whatever fits. And depending on if you're running fuel injection or not, I want the pump in the tank. So what I have on hand here, this is actually a B-body LT1 wagon gas tank. So it's a side fill. So it's out of a 94 5.6, either a Caprice wagon or a Roadmaster wagon. I actually bought a 92 Caprice wagon, I think last year. I still have it here. And it came with a spare gas tank. I don't know why. I have never had one go bad, but it was a good thing to have. So there it is. So I'm starting to fit it up. And let me show you where we're at. All right, so I've got the gas tank up in the air on the stands, just up against the floor. We know we're going to have to make the hole in the floor for the vapor dome, but there's a couple things for this car to keep in mind. One, this car has that area up around here where the spare tire well is. If I can get the vapor dome in the center of the spare tire area, that's how I usually do it on any vehicle, so that the spare tire basically sits over top of the vapor dome and it doesn't really intrude on any of the space in there. The other thing is exhaust clearance. Got to have room for the tailpipes to get through here. I'm going to have to go find a tailpipe. Hopefully I have a G-body one around to see how it's going to come through here. I think it's going to be over in this area and come between the tank and the tire and out the frame rail. At least that's the goal. And right now, I have some marks on the car here. This is the center line of the spare tire well. This is the center line of the car. So I have the tank over in a reasonable amount. It's not all the way over to be perfectly centered in the spare tire well. But what I'm going to do is get the car down, throw like a space saver spare in there, which should be fine to get you home if something happened, and see what that looks like, how much wiggle room I have inside the spare tire area, because it'd be nice if a full-size spare, but I just don't know if it'll fit in there, because this car originally had 15-inch rims, but very skinny tires. So I don't know how big of a spare I could actually get in there without the vapor dome being perfectly centered. So first I'm just going to get some measurements and see what would fit and how much wiggle room I have if I use either a full-size spare or a space saver. Also, another reason to offset the tank to the passenger side in this situation is the filler tube. It comes down right here, and it's not a straight shot to my filler hose, so I'm going to have to run a kind of a squiggly. But if I have the tank over this way, it makes it even tighter to get that done. So the further to the passenger side I can get the tank, the easier that'll be to do as well. It is going to offset the weight of the car a little bit. I mean, I'll have more weight on the passenger side, but once the driver's in, I would think that would offset that, and it probably wouldn't matter much. Plus, the battery is going to go back there somewhere too, so we have to figure that out. But let me go find a tailpipe, and we'll take a look also with some spare tires at how much room we've got in there. Look at that! This is where I get everybody in trouble with their wives or their girlfriends. It pays to be a hoarder. When you can go out in the shed and find a brand new G-body exhaust system that you didn't even know you had, pays to be a hoarder. So I left the rest of the system in the shed. It's actually a full dual system with Flowmasters and a crossover pipe. And I think it's G-body because, I don't know, it's a pipes exhaust, TGG. Maybe that means G-body. So that's the right-hand one. And there's the left-hand one. Stainless! Are you kidding me? I don't even know where I got this. It had to come off a parts car, unless I bought it at a swap meet. But I gotta be honest, I don't remember. It's probably been in there a long time. Alright, so before I get an idea of the final location of the gas tank, I'm going to put one of these, or both of these tailpipes up and just get an idea, because if I can move the tank over even more a little bit this way to get the vapor dome centered in the spare tire well, would be even better. Although I don't think it'll matter if it's off a ½ inch. So let's see. This says right-hand tailpipe. Let's get an idea of what it would look like. It's got a hanger on it, which may be a problem. Let's see. Is it in the way? I'll probably have to take it off. I hate these clamps, these old clamps. I use them for hangers like that too, but not to hold pipes together. Let's see. Can I get this in here? Okay. Yeah. That's going to fit perfect. Clears the tire, clears the suspension, clears everything, clears the gas tank. But the gas tank is going to stay there. That's about as far over this way as I want it. It gives me about 1.5 inches away from the pipe, and that's plenty. I could even make a little heat shield, but the pipes are plenty cool by the time they get to the back. That's going to work. All right, so here is my factory spare tire area. And what I found is there is a good amount of room side to side. You could put a 29-inch diameter tire in here, really. Now, I'm not running anything that big, but I am running 25.5, 26-inch tire. I think it's going to be a 245/60, 15. And I have decided on the wheel and tire combination. You're just not going to see it until we get near the end. But the thing is, even though I do not have a posi in the car right this minute, there's a guy who has one of those Power Tracks lockers that goes in place of the spider gears on an open carrier and makes it a posi. It makes it like a locker. I've run them before. And the problem with that is, if I were to blow a tire in the rear and needed to put a spare on, you with a posi, and especially with this locker, you would want to have the rear tire diameter to be about the same on both sides, because you don't want one tire spinning faster than the other and burning up your posi or your locker. And I just looked. I'll have to look at another one and see if I have any others, but I grabbed a 4th gen Z28 Space Saver tire, and it's only about 22 inches in diameter. I don't know how they used that on those cars, because most of them had posis, and they ran a 245. Was it a 245 50/16? Maybe that is I still think that's a 24, 25-inch tire. So I don't know how they supplied that, although it is for temporary use only. But as far as a full-size spare goes, a 6-inch rim fits in here. Then the only question with that is I got to find a tire that's not very wide, maybe a 195, 185. That's a diameter around 25, 26 inches to fit on this and fit in here and still fit under the cover. So let me do just some quick research and see what would fit, and then see if I have anything in my spare tire pile. All right, so it looks like the best size spare tire that might fit in here would be a 195 75 15, which I do not have anything like that on hand. So swap meets are coming up. It's not something I need right this minute. I'll try to find a used one and do that, because I'm not going to buy a new tire for a spare unless I have to. Plus, I'm not sure if it'll fit. So if I can find a $10 or $20 junk tire or something that looks like it'll work, we'll grab it, if even for mock-up. Now, what I did was I made a quick drawing of the top of the tank. This is the vapor dome area, and I just laid it in here. It's not centered. It's a little bit offset to the driver's side, and trace that out, and I'm going to cut that, and that'll be my first cut. Get an idea what we're looking at here and see how the tank fits with the hole there, and then I can adjust as needed a little bit, make it a little bigger. If I have to add metal back in, I will, but either way, that's what to start with. So I'm going to cut that out. Looks a little bit off. I'll probably have to make some adjustments with that. All right, there's where the tank's going to sit in there. I did have to open it up a little bit more. For some reason, when I got it up there, it looked like the tank was touching the frame on that side, so maybe I was off a little bit on my cut. I don't know, but the hole is big enough now where I get the tank in the air and we can center it and get it straight, and it should be good to go. And then what I'll do is, this is the piece cut out. That'll end up getting welded back in. I'll just raise it up, and then if all goes well, the spare tire will still fit over top of that. I don't think it'll be too high of a hump. Should work. We're going to have something in there no matter what. You know, it's just a spare tire, I know, but I try to have everything prepared because I like to drive these cars, and you just never know what's going to happen. So a spare tire is good to have, and a jack, and the right lug wrench, and everything else. So, yeah. Let's get it back in the air and see what it looks like under there. Maybe we'll start working on straps to hold it up. All right, we're going to raise up this tank and get a look. One thing that's actually pretty cool is most of the time when I install these tanks, I end up having to weld in like box tubes to support the tank up against the floor. But the way they made this one, I've got these horizontal reinforcements with rubber bumpers. So the original tank never had anything like that. They just used these bumpers to support the tank, and you just strap right up against the floor. So I think I'm going to take advantage of that and use those. And I just like peeling off undercoating because it's satisfying. But yeah, I'll get the tank up and may just have to figure out where we're going to drill holes for mounting bolts and make some straps. All right, that's about where the tank's going to be. I have changed my mind, and I am going to add the horizontal, vertical, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to go front to back on and make some square tubing reinforcements across the bottom of the trunk floor and use those as the mounts for the straps as well. It's always worked for me, and it just gives extra support because it is a big tank. I don't know how many gallons this holds, but it's out of a station wagon with a V8, so it's probably at least 20 gallons. I wouldn't be surprised if it's 22 or 24. I don't know, but I don't think it's like a 16, so it's going to have some weight to it. So let me find some scrap metal, and we'll make some support bars. First strap is pretty much figured out. Using some G-body straps rebent that I had laying around. Just made a little piece up here to bolt it up like factory. So it'll swing on that. Bolt in on the back. So if you got to drop the tank, that just swings like that and goes back up there and bolts up. So I'm going to mock the tank back up, tighten that strap down, and get this side going. And we have ourselves a fuel-injected gas tank. All up in there, looks good. I'll put the rear valance on and you'll see how it disappears. There you go. And that's up in the air, so you never even see the tank. This is straight on, and the tank is barely peeking out from below the lower valance. And down on the ground, I don't think you'd see it at all. There you go. That tank has disappeared. So that worked out really good. But I've never been disappointed. That tank has always worked well for me. And then for the inside, that's all it's sticking up. Not much at all. The bolts are the high point. So that'll get welded over that, raised up a little bit. And then let me just double check. Fits right over it, like a glove. And that will be the final look when we're all done, other than maybe a mat to put over it. Unfortunately, the original was completely disintegrating, so I couldn't save it. But we can make one. Just take a truck bed liner and a rubber mat from a truck bed liner, you know what I mean, and just cut it and it'll fit right in there. Yeah. It's coming together good. Too cool. Rambler. All right, it's another day. Wrap this thing up. Is this low enough for you guys? You think this car's low enough? Is this normal roof height for one of these cars? This roof is about 52.5 inches off the ground. I think that's probably lower than stock. I don't know. I think I'm going to have to get some 2-inch drop spindles for the front to get the front down to match that. We will see. Man, it's going to look good, though. Yes, it is. All right, that's going to be it for this one. I don't know what's next. I'll look at my list of things to do that have to get done. We may be on to doing the floors, because all the floors have to be done. And there's only, oh man, I can't remember my list anymore. Like I said, we're going through it, but time's going fast. So I'll look at my list. We'll come back, knock something else out. One step closer to getting this thing running and driving and on the road. All right. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for subscribing. I appreciate it very much. I really do. And go get cleaned up. See you later. Bye.